का पूरा, हाँ जी सर।
आप सर बिल्कुल ठीक है। Recording is on now. It's over to you, Dr. Atul Upreti.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Welcome all to this last lecture of the third lecture series organized by GPGC Bajpur and SS College Shahjahanpur. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Bipin Pathak from GPGC Pithoragarh, who is an old friend of mine and a very eminent scholar. Dr. Bipin Pathak completed his PhD from University of Lucknow. From 2012 to 2040, he worked as head department of zoology in National PG College, Lucknow. In 2040, he topped the Uttarakhand PSC exam and joined as assistant professor in GPGC GPGC Pithoragarh. At present, he is head department of zoology. He has about 10 years of teaching and research experience. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences. He has published more than 10 papers in the journals of national and international repute. He holds key positions in several important committees. He is LO, that is Learning Officer, for online education modules as a part of collaboration of Government of Uttarakhand and TCS. And with more than 150 faculty members and more than 5,000 students, it's a mammoth task to take a complete college to online, and he's doing a wonderful job there. He is member of IQAC and NAC accreditation committee, and I can say he's a very busy man, and that is why I thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time with us out of your very busy schedule. Now I would request Dr. Pathak to deliver his lecture on cell signaling from molecules to messages. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Atul, sir. I think that it is visible to all.
Yes, sir, please resume your presentation, sir, because somebody has presented it, so it interferes always.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Upreti ji, for valuable my introduction. Now today I will telling you the cell signaling and other things, and in the next times if he allowed to me to present to my research area, so I will also present to that things whatever I am doing presently. Now cell signaling, it is very important task that for us how to cell talk to us. This is a very important aspect for all the human beings, that how we interpret, how we communicate to each others, and how we interpret the communication process. In the same way, the cell, that is a unit of the life, that also communicate to each other, and they provide the signals, how they behave, or these things. I just to summarize to all these things in this lecture due to a limited time span as well as my busy schedule also. And I hope that you all enjoy this, because the sir has told me that this lecture series is basically for the students. So I prepare to my lecture on student centric. So now I will just to describe this one. If you see here, this one. So here is the it is a cell. This is a cell plasma membrane, and in this plasma membrane there are some intrinsic proteins. And
sir,
these
you have to resume. Sorry to interrupt, but you have to resume your presentation because it is being interrupted. So you go again to present now and resume presentation. Resume presentation. It will be appeared immediately.
Okay, sir. Please. Okay, I will check, sir. Resume presentation. एक मिनट, स्क्रीन आ रही नहीं आ रही है? Sir, it is visible. Screen is visible or not visible?
It is visible, sir. You can magnify it and you can start with your first slide. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. This is today's lecture series. Thank you, sir, for the cell signaling. I'm just coming to do this in the second. Here you will see here, this is a very beautiful diagrams that how to our cells communicate to each others. Because our cell system is a complex system, and this system, from the evolutionary significance, this system evolved to itself, how to talk one cell to other cells, and how do they behave from the extracellular environment. Because our cellular environments is regulated by the extracellular environments. Here you will see here that this is a receptor protein. Most of the receptor proteins are the glycoproteins, and these receptor proteins have two types of the domain. One is the extracellular domain and other is the intracellular domains. Whenever any signal molecules, which is coming, which is from the extracellular environments, comes in the context of this receptor protein, at first it will bind with this receptor protein. Then what will be happening? Then the conformational changes are occurs in this receptor protein whenever this receptor protein binds with the signals. As a resultant, a cascade of events are started here. In this case, you will see here these signal molecules has some message for the cells, and now this message is at first picked up by this receptor proteins. After the conformational changes, this molecules has some cascade events are occurs in this cellular environment, in this cellular environments. And due to this intracellular signaling proteins, there are a set of intracellular signaling proteins. Now these intracellular signal proteins, sometimes these intracellular signaling proteins goes to the nucleus, and then they act there as a transcription factors and alter the gene expression also. We will talk about these, suppose that in case of the steroid hormones also. In other hands, if you see about that, sometimes they affect the metabolic enzymes, and as a resultant, what will be happening? The metabolic changes are occurs. Sometimes what will be happening? Their effects are coming in the cytoskeletal proteins, and as a resultant, the cell shape or uh, movement is changes. As a resultant, these effector proteins plays very important roles. We will learn to all these things because the whole lecture is summarized to this concept. The whole lecture is summarized to this concept. So I pick up some few slides for the understanding to this one. So I will just do because I'm in the present first time I just told you all of you that it is student centered. So if you talk about in case of the cells, so there are some signal cells and one is the target cells. This is a contact dependence. Whenever the signal cell produce some types of the signals and the target cell and receptor proteins, then this signal molecule bound to these receptor proteins, then the behavior of this target cell is changed. And that behavior is dependent because I am working on the behavior. So that behavior is dependent, that signaling behavior, that signal molecules alters the behavior of this target cell, and that behavior comes as according to the nature of these signal molecules. This is a contact dependence. Now the second point here is the paracrine nature. Paracrine nature means when this signaling cell affects to their adjacent cells, so to these signaling molecules. Here you will see this is a beautiful diagrams that this signaling cell produce some local mediators. Now these local mediators then affect to the other target cells. Suppose that this is the example of prostaglandin hormones. In case of swelling, the prostaglandin hormones, the local hormones following to this paracrine natures. As a resultant, whenever these prostaglandins are produced, the swelling occurs. That is also a part of immune response. And in case of the third part here, the synaptic transmission. Synaptic transmission is the neurons, and neurons is the longest cell in your body, and the velocity of each neuron is 10 meter per second. So you do remember that what will be the velocity of our brain, because you will see here these neurons produce some neurotransmitters, and now these neurotransmitters comes in the synapse, and the postsynaptic neurons has some receptor proteins. Whenever these neurotransmitters bound to these receptor proteins, then again the conformational changes, then the cascade of events is occurs. Example, I am taking just one example of these neurotransmitters. Melatonin hormone. Melatonin is act as a neurotransmitter as well as it is act as a serotonin. It act as well neurotransmitter. Because this melatonin plays very important roles in our sleep-wake cycle. During the daytimes, the serotonin molecule is produced with the help of tryptophan amino acids, and during dark time, the N-acetyl transferase enzymes convert to this into the melatonin molecules. And the effect of this melatonin comes in the form of sleep. So we all are knowing the sleep is by the brain and for the brain. I'm taking some few examples, and now you will see here that this is a endocrine signaling. In case of the endocrine signaling, this is a endocrine cell. Now this endocrine cell released its hormones in the extracellular fluid. Then this hormone comes into the bloodstream, and through bloodstream, it comes to its targets. There are many cascades also. I'm not talking to all these things here. So now these are the target cells. These neurotransmitters, these signaling molecules are receptor specific. They bound only to their receptors. So now these, you will see here, this is a signal molecule. Now this signal molecule bound to this, particularly to this receptor sites. And again, the cascades are happening inside to the cell as according to the nature of these signaling molecules. Most of the endocrinology parts is based on the concept of this endocrine signaling as well as the exocrine signaling, this paracrine signaling also. Then we will come up to other parts. You will see here how this will be happening. This is a extra signal molecules. Whenever these extra signal molecules, here is the again and very important points also, because the specific amino acids are present at the receptor protein sites. Most of the enzymes, the histidine amino acid plays a very important role in the binding sites. So that depends upon the composition of the signaling molecule, and the composition of that signaling molecule is also dependent how the receptor protein composition. So the chemical part plays very important role. So here you will see here the cell surface receptor proteins. These cell surface receptor proteins, now this extra signal molecules, whenever it bounds, it plays the two types of roles. One type of role is its effect is slow nature, and the other type of its effect is fast in nature. But whenever these molecules goes inside, so some transformations are occurs in the cytoplasm, then with the help of some proteins, that proteins are known as importin proteins. These importin proteins import to these molecules inside to the nuclear environments. In case of the nuclear environments is DNA, and DNA there are certain genes. So in a specific sequence, this signaling molecule bounds as a form of proteins, and that are known as transcription factors. And these transcription factors, whenever bounds to the start site of these gene molecules at the promoter sites and the start streams, then the set of that particular gene is expressed in the form of mRNA. Here is also a lot of the modifications are also takes place. This mRNA, this heterogeneous mRNA, is post-translational modifications occurs as in the form of capping and polyadenylation. After that, this mature mRNA is exported with the help of exportin protein or REN-GTP. REN-GTP is a monomeric G proteins. Then they comes out in the cytoplasm. in the cytoplasm, in the ribosomes. In ribosomes, the protein, specific proteins, is produced as according to the nature of these signaling molecules. Ultimately, what will be happening? The cytoplasmic machinery, the behavior of the cell behavior is altered. That cell behavior is not altered in these forms. This alteration of cell behavior comes in the form of different types of our whole behaviors. If you talk about, suppose that cancer is a disease. Cancer is a disease, and whenever we get the extra signal molecules, the carcinogens change to the whole genomic sequence. In case of the proto-oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, and loss of function and other things, a lot of the things, and resultant comes in the form of cancer. And in the same way, if you are talking about whatever our neurotransmitters, because most of the neurotransmitters are the proteins. Neurotransmitters are the proteins, and the functioning of these neurotransmitters comes in the form of behaviors. So you will see here that this is a slow type of mechanisms, and the other hands, here you will see here, here is again the cascade about, suppose that G protein coupled receptor proteins and tyrosine kinase receptor proteins. So these are the different JAK-STAT pathway, different type of pathways, and these pathways, whenever the signal molecules is bound to these receptor proteins, then a cascade of events occurs here. In case of the G protein coupled receptor proteins, I will explain to this one if the time is limits to me. So then the protein functions is altered. I'm just taking an example of this one. Is suppose that this is a G protein coupled receptor. Now this is a G protein coupled receptor. Then the GTPase activity is happening here, and that GTPase activity hydrolyze the phosphoenol biphosphate in the form of diacyl glycerol and IP3, 1,3,5 inositol triphosphate. Then inositol IP3 molecules bound to the calcium channels of the endoplasmic reticulum. Ultimately, what will be happening? Smooth endoplasmic reticulum is a reservoir of calcium ions. That calcium ions comes in the intracellular environment. The concentration of these calcium ions increased in this cytoplasmic environments. These calcium ions plays very important roles in the case of the cytoskeleton parts, because these calcium ions bound to the calmodulin molecules, and these calmodulin molecules is a precursor molecule for the cytoskeleton environments. And as well as on the other hand, they increase the permeability of the plasma membranes. So such type of behavior is fast moving behavior needed according to the nature of this signaling molecules. I think that you understand it, the slow movements and the fast movements. Here I'm just covering the next parts. There are some hormone molecules here. These are the steroid hormones. The question is, my dear students, why these are the steroid hormones? Because these steroid hormones are produced from the cholesterol molecules. Cholesterol is a 27 carbon compounds, and due to these hormones are considered as steroid hormones. These steroid hormones, some are the reproductive hormones and some are not reproductive hormones. They are behaving in the different way. Here you will see is the cortisol. If I'm talking about the cortisol molecule, because I'm working on that cortisol molecule of the physics. This cortisol molecule is a marker or the chronic stress marker. It is a chronic stress marker. If it increases inside your blood, then what will be happening? It causes some after effects in our heart, the chronic heart disease and other things. So that cortisol, and it acts as a marker. And these are the estradiol. Estradiol is a reproductive hormones. The testosterone, this is a male hormone, and vitamin 3 basically is responsible for the bone formations, bones, the weakness, and retinoic acid. You well know about this retinoic acid, retinol, how this retinoic acid change to its conformation whenever the light is perceived by this one. According to the 11-cis retinol to trans-cis retinol, Then the optic nerves pick up to that message, and that message goes to our optic center. Then the optic center send to the again the afferent signals to our eyes, and then we will see the objects whatever is inside our. So these retinoic acid also plays an interest as a transcription factor also. These retinoic acid. In case of the thyroxine hormone, this plays this thyroxine molecule. It acts as a hormone. This thyroxine plays a very important roles in the different aspects of our life. So we will talk about all these things, how these molecules bound to this. Suppose that here you will see here there is a cortisol receptor. In case of this DNA is N-terminal and C-terminal regions. This is a DNA binding domain. The question is, what is domain? Domain is the supersecondary structure of the proteins. Whenever the beta barrel and alpha barrels comes in the conformational chain in case, and they forms a domain. And that domain, because here is the new bioinformatic pictures, so I will not show you to all these things. So the cortisol receptor molecules bound to their specific receptor domains, and that domains are bound present in the DNA. Then they showing the behavior. They showing the behavior by this way, by this slow of the behavior. Again, in case of the estrogen receptors also, the progesterone receptors also, in the same story is happening for all these things, that these molecules showing a slow behavior movement. Slow behavior is shown by these molecules action. So because these molecules either directly or indirectly hits to the genomic imprint, genomic structures, and then the genomic structures receive to their message, then they produce the different types of the proteins. Now that proteins functioning as according to the nature of these signaling molecules. You will see here, this is a receptor proteins. I'm talking about because this topic is a very vast topic. So maybe it is not in a story format due to that lifetime limited spans. Here you will see here, this is an active receptor. This inactive receptor, because why I am showing to these inactive and active receptors. There are two aspects. Sometimes the inhibitory action also plays an important role, as well as the excitatory infections. Suppose that I'm taking an example. A neurotransmitter, overproduction of a neurotransmitter also causes a lot of the problems in our body also. So for the regulation of that neurotransmitters, we need some inhibitory proteins also. These inhibitory proteins regulates the expression of that excitatory as well as inhibitory natures. Just like the positive, we are talking about every time the positive in respect of the negative. So here is the inhibitory proteins. You will see here, this is a DNA binding domain. Whenever this DNA binding domain, this is a ligand binding domain. Whenever this ligand binding domain is bound with inhibitory proteins, then what will be happening? The conformation changes occurs, further functioning is stops. In the same way, whenever you will see here, whenever this is active receptor, this is a active receptor, this is a receptor binding elements in DNA, basically in the promoter sites. You will see here, this is a ligand molecule, ligand is your signal molecules, and this is your co-receptors. Now you will see here, this is your receptor, and in this receptor the signal molecule is produced, then signal receptor complex is produced. Now this signal receptor complex conformation is coping with the conformation of this receptor binding elements. As a resultant, what will be happening? This receptor binding elements of the DNA will activate. The question is, what is the role of these co-activator proteins? These co-activator proteins just to stimulate the functioning of this receptor signal molecules. As a resultant, what will be happening? The set of the target genes are expressed, but in case of this inhibitory proteins, the set of the target genes are not expressed. As a resultant, what will be happening? The balance comes in the expression of the excitatory as well as the inhibitory proteins. So therefore, I just to show you to these things. Then we will come to the some other parts. You will see here there are two types of the responses of these steroid hormones. Suppose there is progesterone, estradiol, testosterone, and so on. This is a general concept. This is not the specific concept. Why the estrogen receptor, the 17 alpha estrogen receptors and beta receptors, what is the conformation of the thing? Because this is a general lecture, so I take the general concepts also here. This is the primary early response of steroid hormone. You will see here, this is the steroid hormone. Whenever this steroid hormone molecule bound with the steroid receptors, then what will be happening? Here you will see the conformation of this receptor is in this way. Whenever this steroid hormone molecules bound to this one, then ultimately what will be happening? Now a receptor, steroid hormone complex is produced. You will see here, the conformation is changed. This is the biggest problem. The conformation is changed. Now this conformation, then this receptor steroid hormone complex activate the primary response genes. Now primary response genes means sometimes our housekeeping genes also. Housekeeping genes means those genes such as the genes of glycolysis, because glycolysis is a very important part for keeping to the house, because that depends upon the respiratory movements. So therefore, this is a induced synthesis of primary response proteins, the primary response proteins. On one hand, they are working in this way. The other hands, the secondary delayed response, the secondary response of these proteins, they produce this one. Then what will be happening? The primary response, now these primary response proteins, then these primary response proteins, you will see that these primary response proteins then comes to these sites, and these primary response proteins shuts down the expression of these primary response protein. These primary response proteins comes to these promoter sites, they shut down the expression of that genes. That primary response genes expression is shut down by these proteins. And on the other hand, these primary response proteins, for itself, these primary response proteins act as an inhibitor for themselves. But on the other hand, these primary response proteins act as a activator for the secondary response genes. For the secondary response genes, they act as a transcription factor, they act as an activator. Ultimately, what will be happening? The secondary response proteins are produced, and these secondary response proteins are showing to their behaviors, according to the nature of the signaling molecules. And I'm just to deviate to myself to the other parts also, the ion channels, because this is also a very important. Here the cell signaling molecules to the message. As according to the topics, I select the different type of the slides. You will see here, in case of our plasma membrane, these signal molecules, suppose that is sodium ions, potassium ions, calcium ions, these molecules, whenever comes to our cellular environments, they change to the whole chemistry of the cellular environments, because we need to that things. Here is the receptor proteins. These are the intrinsic proteins, these receptor proteins, because this plasma membrane is impermeable to these ions. At first, what will be happening? These ions bind to their specific sites of the receptor proteins. Then the channel is opens. Now in the different aspect of the transport, either in the form of active transport, either in the form of primary active transport, either in the form of secondary active transport, either in the form of diffusion, either in the form of facilitated diffusion, they comes inside to the cellular environments and showing to their behaviors. Suppose that the action potential, I am taking one example, action potential, whenever the movement of the sodium and potassium ions, they provide a cascade of depolarization, repolarization and hyperpolarization. Whenever the sodium ions comes inside to the cellular environments, the action potential minus 70 millivolts goes to 30 millivolts in case of the neurons. This is the action potential. Now the cell is so activated. Then in this case, from extracellular environment again, the potassium ions comes in. Potassium ions, efflux of the potassium ions. Potassium ions goes out from cellular environment to the extracellular environment, 2 potassium ions. Then repolarization. Now it comes again. Again it goes to the minus 80 millivolt. 80 millivolt because inside to the cellular environment 3 sodium ions and outside goes to only 2 potassium ions. So 1 is remaining. So in the same way, some chloride ions also comes out. As a resultant, the hyperpolarization, the polarity of that cell goes down to minus 80 millivolt. Then it comes to the in its zero action potential stage. It's minus 70 millivolt stage. So that is the ion. These are the ion channel coupled receptor proteins. So these ion channel coupled receptor proteins maintains the cellular environments with the help of ions. And sometimes the lipid molecule, other things, and a lot of the things, a lot of the molecules, because a lot of the diversity of the molecules, I'm unable to explain to all these molecules. And the same way, the nitric oxide also plays an important role. Nowadays, it acts as a hormone also. So you will see here, I am just talking about this is very important for us because it is very important in respect to the competitive examination and other things. This is a G protein coupled receptor. You will see here why this is called a G protein coupled receptor. So your answer is here is the GTP. Guanosine triphosphate is bound here. Due to that guanosine triphosphate, this is known as GTP bound receptor. It is also known as serpentine receptors. Why it is known as serpentine receptor? Because it traverses to this plasma membrane 7 times. You will 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times is traversed to the plasma membrane. Therefore, it is known as serpentine receptors. And again, a very important question is that this plasma membrane, in case of this plasma membrane, the hydrophobic part is present of the lipid. And this protein has some charged molecules. So in case of this one, mostly whenever you explain the chemical structures of this one, so you will find out most of the non-polar amino acids are present in this alpha helical regions. Most of the non-polar amino acids are present in this alpha helical regions, in which this receptor molecule is traversed to the plasma membranes. Please remember it. You will see here, this is here its cytosolic domain, and this is here its intrasolic domain, cytosolic domains. In this case of the cytosolic domain, you will see here, this is inactive. This G protein coupled receptor protein is inactive. Why it is inactive? Because here is the GDP is bound, guanosine diphosphate is bound. Here is the 3 components, alpha and beta and gamma, alpha, beta and gamma components. So now this G protein is, in case of this G protein, presently this G protein is inactive stage. If you understand the concept of the inactive G protein, then you easily understand the concept of the activated G protein also. But what will be happening? Some extracellular signaling molecules, comes to this G protein coupled receptor in place of this G protein coupled receptors. Then what will be happening? Now this protein complex change to its conformation. Now it is activated. Now it is hyperactivated. It is activated. That means it gets some energy. Energy plays a very important role. Now what will be happening? The hydrolysis of this part is happening. Here is the switch off activity, switch on activity. Here you will see GDP. Now this alpha subunit is bounded by the GDP. GDP is exchanged by the GDP molecules. As a resultant, hydrolysis is occurs. Now this activated beta gamma complex, now this alpha subunit molecules showing its behavior according to the nature of this molecule. Maybe it is hydrolysis of the sometimes phospholipase beta also. Sometimes it works on the PIP2 molecules. Then PIP2 molecules, then the PIPT molecules convert to the IP3 and DAG molecules. And sometimes what will be happening in case of the protein kinase A molecules, so it produced the cyclic AMP. That cyclic AMP, because it depends upon the different types of the nature of the signaling molecules. So this cyclic AMP acts as a secondary messenger. Now this cyclic AMP molecules goes to the nucleus part, and then it bounds to the domain of the DNA molecules. Then it convert to again the set of the genes. So that depends upon the aspect of this, the nature of these signaling molecules. Because if the adenylate cyclase, hydrolysis of adenylate cyclase, then cyclic AMP is definitely produced. So I am taking about some examples here. I am taking some examples of here these cyclic AMP molecules. Whenever the cyclic AMP molecule bound this alpha GTP molecule, this alpha GTP molecule hydrolyzed to the your adenyl cyclase, it activates to the adenyl cyclase, which is present here also. Now this adenyl cyclase molecules hydrolyze the ATP, adenyl cyclase. As a resultant, this cyclic AMP is produced. You will see here. In this case, the cyclic structure is produced. As a resultant, this cyclic AMP molecule is produced. Now, whenever the cyclic AMP phosphodiesterase molecule acts, it hydrolyzes this molecule. As a result, 5' adenosine monophosphate is produced. This cyclic AMP act as a secondary messengers. So these are the examples of these cell-mediated cyclic AMP response. These are thyroid gland, thyroid stimulating hormones, adrenal cortex, ovary, hormones of the ovary, luteinizing hormones, progesterone secretion, muscles in case of adrenaline, glycogen breakdown. In case of the bone, parahormones that is present in the parathyroid glands, bone resorption, heart, adrenaline, increase the heart rate and force of contraction, liver, glucagon, glycogen breakdown, kidney, vasopressin, water reabsorption, and fat, adrenaline, adrenocorticotropic hormone, glucagon, triglyceride breakdowns, and other things. So these are the story of this one. In this case of this, I'm just talking some important aspect here. This is the protein kinase A. Now in this case of the protein kinase A, 4 subunits. These are the 4 subunits. 2 subunits are the inactive catalytic subunit and 2 are the regulatory subunits. So now whenever these cyclic AMP molecules bound to these regulatory subunits, then the conformational changes are occurs and these your inactive catalytic subunits activates. Now these active catalytic subunits showing to their further functioning. So this is the story of this one. You will see here the same the G protein coupled receptor I completed. The G protein coupled receptor, you will see here this cyclic AMP is produced through the hydrolysis of adenyl cyclase. Then the cyclic AMP secondary messenger bound to the inactive protein kinase A molecules that is present in the cytosol. Then it's activated, this catalytic unit is activates. Then this catalytic unit comes inside to the site in nucleus through the help of important proteins. Then you will see here this bound to the cyclic AMP response element. Now the cyclic response elements. Now this inactive cyclic response element binding proteins, it activates to this one. Now this binding protein, after the phosphorylation, its phosphorylation, this protein kinase A catalytic subunit phosphorylation, this molecule bound to this promoter regions. Whenever this activates phosphorylated cyclic AMP response element binding proteins bound to this regions with the help of some binding other protein co-receptor proteins, then the set of the target genes expression is starts. So in this way, the G protein coupled receptors showing a one type of behavior, and other type of behaviors are also by these the G protein coupled receptors. Suppose that this is the phospholipase C beta. I am not talking about here also. The time not limits me, only 2 minutes I have. The liver vasopressin, here is the phospholipase beta, not adenylate cyclase. In case of this one, the phospholipase C beta molecule is activates by this G protein coupled receptor, or in this case, in these signal molecules, thrombin, acetylcholine, and vasopressin. And I think that this G protein coupled receptors has 2 types of the activities. Sometimes it showing the inhibitory activities, it inhibit to the adenyl cyclase, and sometimes the stimulatory activities, it activates the adenyl cyclase and the calcium channels. Suppose that olfaction, in case of the olfactory sensory neurons, this also act as, and sometimes these are the different aspects of these G protein coupled receptors. I think that this is the G protein coupled receptor. You will see here. Suppose that this is last slide. Signaling molecule. Here is a G protein coupled receptor is activates. As a resultant, now you will see here the phospholipase C beta is activates. Now this phospholipase C beta is 4,5 bisphosphate. Then one molecule is the diacylglycerol. This diacylglycerol molecule is membrane bound molecule. The another molecule from this side is the IP3, inositol 4,5 triphosphate here. So now this triphosphate molecule bound to these calcium ion channels that I explained the first slide. Then these calcium ion channels are coming out from to their reservoir. This is the reservoir, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and you will see the calcium channel comes. In the same way, the protein kinase C molecule. These calcium ion channels are bound to these protein kinase C molecules, which is activated by the diacylglycerol. Now the protein kinase C molecule is activates. Now it's showing to its other effects. In the same way, this is the story of translucin molecules. Cyclic GMP is produced in case of the translucin molecule. Basically, in case of our vertebrate photoreceptor eyes, and phospholipase GQ and 12-3 also. These are Rho proteins. Rho proteins are monomeric G proteins. In the same way, these are actin, cytoskeleton, and other things. Thank you very much for your cooperations as well as listening to me.
Thank you very much for a very informative and very well articulated lecture. Thank you very much for sparing time with us. Now I would like Dr. Adarsh Pandey, sir, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
To say a